Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if Naruto build harem Kushina Kurenai Mei Sasuke's older sister and Hinata's mom, part 2. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. Please doesn't my daughter will forever hate Konoha. My grandson already lost a father figure, please don't. I promise when I finish the bridge I will pay the mission in full. Gato has plagued our country too much, he has literally drained every one of their money, please, on his knees. He hopes they won't leave him to die while trying to finish the bridge for his country. Naruto watching the man in front of him begging for help. What do you think, Kurumu? Thinking what she will do. Kurumu heard everything. Go and help, it's the right thing to do, replied Kurumu. Naruto turning to Kakashi, I'm in. No way in hell I'm abandoning this mission, it wouldn't look good on my profile. Smiling he turns to Kakashi. Huh, Naruto, you say something is lot up from his book. Kakashi smirking, he finally can't. Naruto with one. Nope, must have been the wind. Naruto replied while reading his book, couldn't help read this in another fan fiction. The smirk immediately disappear of his face. Well, that's one person vote, but I say we shouldn't. Turning to Sakura, she agrees with her sensei. Sasuke on the other hand looks at Naruto face saying, tempt me. I'm in, said Sasuke while Kakashi sighs knowing him he won't drop this unless Naruto will. Fine, but the mission rank just turned to Loa. Turning to Tazuna he heard Naruto snort. I will send word to the Hokage asking for backup, Kakashi said. Wave country. Wondering why he has to deal with this. He begins to make his way towards the house, let's go. Tazuna, maybe you should stay in the middle. Turning to Kakashi he shrugs his shoulders. All five begins to move. Sasuke, hearing Hatake voice he turns to him, yes, wondering what he wants. When will the bird get to Konoha? Asked Kakashi. Sasuke smiling tells them she already got there within an hour and already got a summons from her telling she gave the scroll to the Hokage. After walking for a while of walking, Naruto heard something in the bush. Throwing a kunai, a white rabbit hops out of the bush. What? Wondering what's going on. He is trying to block Sakura shrieking voicing, shut up, screaming he hears something, get down, grabbing Sakura he throws her on the ground hard. Naruto turning back to the whistling sound, that was close. Turning to Kakashi they look at the direction of the blade that Naruto sent. What? Said a shocked Naruto. Shocked to see the blade impale on the tree bark. Naruto takes a few steps forward, but when Kakashi got in front of Naruto. I will take care of him, Kakashi getting into a stance while Naruto snorted. Well, if it isn't the hidden mist's missing nin, Momochi Zabuza-kun. Kakashi said casually, as if greeting an old friend. He then turned to his students. Everyone, step back. This one's on a whole other level. Against him, it will be a little tough, unless I do this. He took a hand to his Hittite. You appear to be Sharingan no Kakashi. The rogue nin finally spoke. Sorry, but the old man is mine. Sharingan. Sasuke looked at his sensei suspiciously. Surround and protect Tazuna-san. He instructed. Do not enter the fight. That's the teamwork here. Zabuza. First. He slowly pulled the headband up, revealing a blood-red eye with 3 tomo around it and a big white scar crossing it. Quote. Fight me. Ah, I'm honored. Zabuza said. I already get to see the famous Sharingan. When I was a member of the Hidden Mists assassination squad I kept a handbook which included information on you. It said you have copied over 1000 jutsu. Naruto-kun, you don't seem surprised. Sakura stated. Did you know about this? Of course, the blonde answered. That's why they call him Sharingan no Kakashi. Now, let's end all of the talking. Zabuza cut in. I have to kill the old man. But it seems that I have to beat you first, Kakashi. Using the tree as support he jumped away with incredible speed, taking his sword with him and reappearing on top of the water, each of his hands forming a seal. Ninpu. Kurigakur no Jutsu. Ninja art. Hidden mist technique, then he was gone again, and the mist started getting thicker. As the genin got ready for the worst, Zabuza's voice echoed through the area. 8 choices. Liver, lungs, spine, clavicle, vein, jugular, brain, kidneys and heart. Which one should I go after? After a couple of minutes of silence, Sasuke broke it, yelling, "Sensei, behind you." Right in time for Kakashi to dodge the massive sword, which then vanished into the mist just as it had appeared from it. He felt a presence behind him and was able to create a water clone to be sliced in half instead of him. "Don't move," he ordered from behind Zabuza, with a kunai to his neck. "It's over." The missing nin, however, laughed and appeared behind Kakashi again. "I'm not that easy." Again, Zabuza slashed, much faster than he should have been able to, considering the sword's size, but the masked nin ducked and avoided the blow. Making use of the momentum, the former mist ninja stuck his sword on the ground and used it as support to deliver a powerful roundhouse kick to his opponent's chest and launch him towards the water. He then used a shunshin to quickly move behind the still recovering copy nin. Hehe, fool. Sweden. Suoro no Jutsu. Water style. Water prison technique. Crap. Kakashi thought. He had no time to react as the water around him rose and enveloped him in a sphere, trapping and slowly drowning him. What made it worse was the fact that the genin had gone back into fighting stances instead of running away. "You idiots!" he shouted. "Run away. Zabuza's way out of your league, you have no chance of winning against him." Suddenly Naruto senses another presence behind the bridge builder and quickly unseal a giant sword wrap in bandage, like Kisame, and stop the other sword man. The sword man looks about Naruto age. He was a minute version of Zabuza. When Zabuza saw the sword he started to panic. "It can't be that sword. Aoi, whatever you do, don't let that sword cut you," Zabuza yelled. Too late. Naruto was already in front of him and swung his sword at Aoi, but quick reaction, the sword only cut through his hand. As look at his hand, he started to laugh. "What worthless sword?" Aoi still laughing. Not seeing the smirk on Naruto's face. "You fool, I thought I told not to let that sword touch you," Zabuza yelled. "Why, it did even cut and saw the sword went through my hand," Aoi replied. "That the destroyer, you fool, it doesn't attack the body, it attacked the charka coil in them, destroying them," yelled Zabuza. Everybody was shocked. They did not there's such a strong sword around. "The demon keeps getting stronger, I must end him soon though, Kakashi. That fool does deserve so power, I must get that sword so I can kill him, though Sasuke. Where did you get that sword? It is supposed to be locked up in the Kiri vault." "Wouldn't you like to know?" Naruto said while smirking. Flashback 1 year ago. "Naruto-kun, we like to introduce you to your kinjust's teacher Dracula Mihawk, known as Hawkeye, Mihawk Taka no Mi no Mihoku, Mei. So this is the brat you been tell me about," Mihawk as he looked into Naruto's eyes. "Yes. Naruto, this man is the world's strongest swordsman," Mei said. "Come with me," was all he said. He walked away and Naruto followed. 2 years later. Mei office. "I think you should give it to him," Mihawk said. "You think it is him? The sword has to choose its own master, and all of Kiri best have tried to wield it and fail, even you," Mei replied. "Mei is right. Are you sure it could kill him?" Mei yelled. He just looked at them with his hawk eyes. They knew the answer to their question. At Kiri Gate. As Naruto was standing at the village gate ready to leave, he saw Mei and Mai with a sword wrapped in bandages. "Naruto-kun, this for you," it called the destroyer, Mai said. Flashback end. Suddenly Aoi appear behind Naruto, push his sword through Naruto's chest, then Naruto melt into the ground and Aoi's sword melt with it, Nova clone. Then Aoi was kick into his back, sending him flying into the trees, knocking him out. Then Naruto turned back to Kakashi. "Kakashi, you real or worthless?" Naruto replied. As he looked at both of them, then run through some hand signs, then both men heard lighting. "You wouldn't ease your teacher," said Zabuza. "We can always get another one," Naruto replied, lighting release electric heel. As the heel shoot toward the men at lightning speed, forcing Zabuza to release his just you and Kakashi to dodge. "You brat!" they both shout. "What the hell wrong with you, loser? You almost kill our teacher, and where did you get that sword? I want it," said Sasuke. "Yeah," yelled Sakura. Naruto sent a power key that knocked them both out. "You pay for this," yelled Zabuza. As Naruto and trade just you and Klang's sword back and forth for about 5 minutes, Naruto's sword was sent flying out of his hand. Naruto then decided to end this fight and reveal his Sharingan. "Not another one," Zabuza said to himself. "Time to end it," they both said. "Water release Water Dragon Bullet. Nova release Nova Dragon Bullet." As the two attack hit both Naruto and Zabuza was sent flying into opposite direction into Tress as Naruto got he started breathe hard he cruise himself he should not have used the sword it taken up lots of charka just to destroy the charka system in Aoi hand he hadn't mastered it yet. As he walks over to Zabuza he saw that Zabuza was trying to get up but could. Looks like you win Brad but first please tell me your name and who though you how to use a sword, Zabuza. I don't see you not as you are about to die my name is Uzumaki Naruto and my teacher is number 1. Zabuza eyes widen and, Hawkeye, escape his lips his eyes close then Naruto heard chirping birds behind him and able to dodge it but in his weakened stage part of it catches he fell to one knee. Now you die demon, Kakashi said as he charged him again as Naruto look on as his vision begun to get blurry all he heard was cadent rotation, and Hana was standing in front of him and Kakashi was sent flying. Hana-chan, was the last thing he heard as the darkness too over. What do you think you're doing Kakashi attacking another Konoha ninja is punishable by death, Hana yelled. I don't know what you are talking about I was just about to attack Zabuza when Naruto jumped out of nowhere in front of me. Hana knew he was lying but she did not say anything as no one would believe a Chunin words over a Jonin then turned back to Naruto and pick him up as they turn around they saw a nin hunter pick up Zabuza body and then vanish. Tazuna home, took this scene from Naruto Yoko and change it up, I hope they don't mind. When they appeared at his house his daughter Tsunami saw Naruto condition told Kakashi to place him on the bed upstairs. She went in to clean his wounds not knowing full well that he doesn't have any wound. But when she began to undress Naruto she began to blush saying how well toned the boy is. Shaking it off she begins to take his pants off but stops, oh my god, as she was sent back with a nosebleed Hana heard this the sound of crash and rush in to get a nosebleeds themselves as they saw Naruto manhood. Downstairs, Sasuke was outside looking at the sword. The only way he can hold the blade is by the sheath and every time he grabs the handle it burns and cuts him. Why? Screaming in frustration, I'm elite someone like me should have this blade. Kicking the rocks Sakura cheers Sasuke while Kakashi rolls his eyes. Tazuna home, Kakashi, Sasuke and Sakura are outside wondering about Naruto's blade. Kakashi, called Anika. When Kakashi saw everyone he raised an eye thinking he wasn't going to get them all. They had a little trouble crossing the water since Kiba and his dog didn't know about the water walking exercise which reminded Kakashi to teach them how to walk on trees. Where is Naruto-kun and Hana-chan? Asked Hinata. Sasuke snorted. The Dobi used a lot of chakra fighting Zabuza and you sister is healing him. When the Jonin and Chunin heard this they turned to Kakashi explaining what Naruto did. Pointing to the blade on the table, every time one of us touches we get cut and burned, said Kakashi. Kiba scratching his nose walks to the blade, this thing, laughing he grabs the blade handle and gets blown away and slams into a tree. The older females whistle. Then Tsunami bowed told them about Naruto injuries thinking the blood is his. When Kurenai and Anika heard this they looked at each other and went upstairs to check on Naruto. Which everyone raised an eye wondering what's going on with them. With Naruto, he is sleeping in the room while Hana walked in and notices him sleeping. Seeing his well-toned chest she begins to blush. Hana, hearing her name she turns to Kurenai and the rest of the females minus Sakura and Tsunami walking in and closing the door. You should let him rest, said Kurenai. Another minute everyone heard Naruto take a deep breath, vanilla and lavender my favorite, smiling Naruto stirs a bit and lies up. Looking around he notices the Sharingan mistress, the Genjutsu mistress and the Hyuga mistress and the Wave mistress. How long have I been out? Naruto said cracking his neck. He places his arm on his shoulder trying to loosen his stiff muscles. Hana watching him stares at Naruto, must be in control, biting her lips. Naruto smells something in the room. Turning to the females but more importantly to Hana and Anika hey we're letting out the most pheromones of the four. Well kid it looks to me you might have some vixens looking at you. You think you can manage all of them plus me, Kurumu said while her lips. Naruto rolls his eyes. So what happened? Being straightforward Anika naps out of her daze. And they told him about a nin hunter that came for Zabuza body. Naruto sitting up more. He covers his lower body noticing his pants are gone. What happened to my pants? Looking around they find Naruto clothes on the chair across from him. All three Kunoichi and Tsunami blush a deep red. Hana getting his clothes, here, but I didn't find any underwear. I don't wear any. I go commando more comfortable since the pants have mesh armor sewed in. So the Jonin pants I have an extra underline layer of clothes, replied Naruto staring at the girls the whole time. The next thing everyone saw is Hana, Tsunami, Kurenai and Anika hit the ground. As the girls got up, Naruto looks at them and gets a funny feeling of some sort. What's going on? Looking at Anika, she blushes a deep red. Turning to Kurenai, she did the same. Hana was no different now. He wants answers. Hana, what's going on? Do you mind? I want to get dress. Anika with a cheesy grin. Ah, come on Naru-kun, not like we seen it. Hana and Kurenai stiffen while Naruto looks at Tsunami wondering what's going on. Turning to Hana, he stares at her, making her nervous. Okay, fine. I gave them my memory of your when I heard noise come from this room and saw Tsunami knock out with a nosebleed, screaming. She turns darker if possible. Naruto looking at Kurenai, who looks away. Turning to Anika, she is smiling seductive. So is it that big? Kurenai pulls on Anika hair. Alright, fine, I'll be good, mumbling that she wants to see the real thing up close, which Naruto sighs. Mumbled to himself about arrow women. Fine, since we are all adults here and acting like adults. Getting up, he puts on his armor shirt first while the ladies looks at Naruto lower region. For the Kunoichis and Tsunami, they blush, and poor Hinata, who had just come into the room to talk to her sister and saw it, the blood erupted from her nose and she was slammed against the door very hard, getting knocked out in the process. Naruto, watching this, didn't expect that from her, chuckling to himself. He turns to Kurenai, who is trying to glare at Naruto but isn't working. After Naruto got dressed and Hinata waking up, they went downstairs to see what was going on. Naruto, who noticed Sasuke trying to touch the destroyer as it sent him across the room, returned, doing a hand seal. The blade poof away from off the table and proof back into Naruto's hand, where reseal it back into his hand. Kakashi looks at Naruto. I assume the Hokage know that you have that sword. Huh, you same something, Naruto replied. Kakashi was seeing red after that as walked towards Naruto. Hana came in front them. Cool down Kakashi, the Hokage already knows, Hana said. I see, replied Kakashi. Knowing full well that Sasuke wanted Naruto's blade for himself to use against his brother. So what do we do now? I mean, knowing the hunter Nin, Zabuza is coming back probably at the end of the week, replied Naruto, getting Team 7 Genin confused. What hunter Nin? Said Sakura. Naruto rolling his eyes while Hana explains that the hunter Nin came after Naruto had defeat Zabuza. He should have destroyed the body at the scene, not take it away. Like that, all the village secrets are kept secret and no one can use it against them whatsoever, explaining to her. She wonders how Team 7 passed the bell test. Turning to Naruto, he must have figured it out, thinking how the plan is going to be. So what's the plan? Asked Naruto, getting everyone attention. Everyone was awakened downstairs. Well, everyone but Naruto. Where's Naruto? Asked Kurenai. Probably upstairs beating his meat, said Kiba. Now why would he need to do that when he could use it to satisfy me for hours? Said Hana, smiling from ear to ear. Tsunami had just walked in and heard what the brunette had said while blushed. Hinata was red. She couldn't believe her sister would say that in public while Kiba was knocked out with a nosebleed. He's still sleeping, I'll go get him, said Tsunami as she got up. No, let him sleep a little more, said Anika. Tsunami nodded and sat down to finish eating. After another 20 minutes, Hana walked upstairs and shook Naruto into semi-consciousness. It is time to get up, she whispered into his ear. He opened his eyes and stared at Hana for a second, then smiled. He grabbed her and fell on the bed, pinning her under him. 10 more minutes, he said as he tickled her sides, making her laugh and squeal, something he had never heard her do. Han-chan, I like to thank you for saving me from Kakashi yesterday, as he hug and kiss her on her cheek. No problem, Narkun, but why don't tell the Hokage about this, Hana said while blushing. He will never believe. Beside, I want to deal with him myself, as they spend the next 10 minutes in each other embrace. Downstairs, the rest of Team 7 and 8 was waiting after everybody had breakfast. Kakashi told them that they would be doing tree walking exercise. Naruto let out a yawn, toning out everyone else. This is boring. I could do this stuff while sleeping, yawning again. He hears Kurenai clearing her throat. Naruto, I understand this is boring, but you must learn proper chakra control. I understand everything, Renee-chan. But this is still boring, yawning. Kakashi rolls his eye. Typical Naruto thinks he know everything. No everything, just more than you, Naruto replied as he picks up a small boulder that is 4 times his size, then he put it down, then he crushes it with his fist. He then started walking towards the tree. Everybody watches him walk up the tree on his right and left index fingertips straight. Everybody was amazed except the boys. You could see the vein popping out of Kakashi's skull while Kiba and Sasuke mumbled, "Show off." "See Kurenai, I told you my Naruto-kun can do anything," Hana said. "He's not yours, Hana," shouted Anika as they glare at each other. "So Naruto-kun, how did you learn to control your chakra like that?" Kurenai asked. "Tsunade-chan made sure my chakra control was very for any situations." Kurenai turning to Naruto, any tips seeing how well his control is, but more importantly how did he get it to be that way? Sure. As Naruto and Kurenai talked, the rest of the team did the exercise. Anika, seeing that Sasuke was having trouble, decided to help him. "Hey bro, how I help you?" said Anika. "I don't help from weaklings," Sasuke said coldly. Anika flinch. "But Sasuke, I not weak, I am already a chunin." "Ha ha ha, don't make me laugh, you have even awakened your Sharingan, you just like mother only Uchiha by name," Sasuke yelled. "But you still haven't awakened yours yet," said Anika. "That what you think?" as he flashes his Sharingan, surprising everyone. When we met Zabuza, so you see my dear sister, you are weak if you can't activate the Sharingan, you are not my sister, Makoto is not my mother." As tears came to Anika's eyes, then she ran away. Suddenly Naruto was in front of Sasuke and his fist hit Sasuke in the face, send him fly into the trees. "How could you say that to your own sister and mother?" yelled Naruto. Kakashi appeared before Sasuke and said, "Sasuke doesn't have to answer, you brat. When we get back to the village I am going to report you to the Hokage." "Whatever," Naruto said as vanish. With Anika. Anika was crying when Naruto appeared. She walked to him and threw herself at him as she cried in his chest. Naruto did not know what to do to stop her from crying, so he just held her until Hana and the other girl came to help, then he began to walk away. Naruto called Kurenai and Hana. Getting his attention, he stopped, then both of them hug him and whisper thank you in his ears. This was why they loved him, kind, caring and loving when he was with them, but cold and brutal when defending them. 3 hours later, Naruto and the rest of the females walk back to Tazuna's house for lunch. Turning back to them, he noticed they're all exhausted but smiling. When they got to Tazuna's house, everyone looked at Naruto and the rest of the females. "Where were you guys and why were guys so tired?" asked Kakashi. "We got lost on the road of life," said Naruto as he walked past him and went into the houses while was laughing at Kakashi as Naruto pulled a Kakashi on Kakashi. 1 week later, a young woman was picking herb in the forest when he saw a young redhead was sleeping in the forest. She recognized as the guy that was fight her master and was about to kill him when the redhead opened his eyes. Naruto POV. After a long night of training, a young redhead was sleeping when he heard a sound and got up. He saw a young girl in a pink, sleeveless yukata with a smile on her face. Normal POV. "Did you wake me up?" the girl said. "No. So why we're sleeping in the forest? You could catch a cold." "Just training, by the way. What are you doing here?" Naruto asked the smiling girl. "I'm picking herbs that can cure injuries and illnesses," the young girl said. "But doing a tedious job so early in the morning?" Naruto questioned her. "What are you training?" Haku said, trying to avert the subject so as not to be caught. "I am training to fight a guy named Zabuza and to help out your country." Haku was mentally taken aback by his words, but he knew all too well that this young man was one of those shinobi who fought Zabuza that week ago and almost killed him. Haku then had a downcast look in his eyes as he averted his gaze from the young man, looking around and saw the damages the man did. "Why are you pushing so hard? There is no need to go so far. Is there someone worth risking for all of this?" The young man nodded as, "I have a lot of precious people to protect, so yes, there is someone worth risking my life for." "That what I believe also," the girl replied. "So do you have a precious person?" Naruto asked. "Yes I do, he saved me, so I vow to protect him." Then told her story, and you already the story, it is too troublesome to write. As the story Naruto was angry he couldn't believe some had go through something similar to him. Then the young woman got up and took his basket in hand. The Naruto then stood up and said, "By the way, I'm Naruto. Uzumaki Naruto." The young woman stopped for a while and turned around as he gave a genuine smile and said, "My name is Haku. It was pleasant to meet you Naruto even if it will only be a short while. By the way, I'm a guy." With that, the young man turned on his heel and walked away. The young man closed his eyes as he mentally, "You know, we could have been the best of friends if the situation was different." The next morning, "Alright let's go to the bridge," said Kakashi. "What are about Naruto-kun? He's still sleeping," replied Anika. "Just leaving him, he'll catch up when he awakes," Kakashi said. None of the girls wanted to leave Naruto along, but they knew they had a job to do. At the bridge, Tazuna screamed as he saw the many injured construction workers lying around the bridge. The team began to take their precautions as planned. Kiba, Akamaru took to the back with Sasuke as Sakura, Shino and Hinata protected Tazuna's front and back while Anika and Hana ran to the injured men along with Kurenai and Kakashi. The crimson-eyed Junin checked their pulses and nodded, causing the team to sigh in relief until they saw their former enemy across them with the fake hunter Nin and 4 more missing Nins. "Sorry to keep you waiting Kakashi and Naruto. Hey, where's Naruto? We get him the day off, we won't be need him," said Kakashi. "Ha ha ha, whatever, looks like you got back up. Luckily I brought some friends of mine along with me," Zabuza said as he moved his right arm to check its flexibility before gazing back his murderous eyes at the tense joint team that took on the defensive. Zabuza smiled as he said, "He's shaking again. How pitiful. In fact, they're all shaking." Zabuza was right. The Genins were still shaking in nervousness as they never faced a battle this intense in their entire life, as the air just choked their confidence and wits despite how hard they struggled to fight it from engulfing them in their own fears. Sasuke on the other hand was shaking for a different reason. He smiled smugly as he said, "I'm shaking in excitement." Suddenly 10 Mizu Bunshins surrounded the team until Sasuke and Anika quickly dispatched them of. His swift attacks caused them to revert back into water. "Che. Show off," Kiba said as Akamaru barked in agreement. "They are as fast as you and Aoi," Zabuza said to his younger companion. "Yes, it seems like it," the masked boy said as he analyzed the situation. "Not fast enough, I am faster," said Aoi. This was it. The battle that they've been preparing for as the X-Mist Nins began the assault. Tazuna's house. Meanwhile, back at Tazuna's house, Tsunami was busy cleaning the house as she began her chores for the day. "Inari, come and help me in the kitchen," Tsunami hollered out to the boy. "Hate," Inari said as he moved towards the kitchen. As they peacefully ran through their chores without a care in the world, 2 men waited outside with swords strapped to their side. One man wore a blue hood-down jacket, brown shorts and getas, a dirty white sash around his waist and a navy blue snowcap over his neck-length silver hair. The other man wore getas as well. He also wore big gray pants with white zigzags on it and a jacket tied to his waist for his sword to be tied to. He wore no shirt to reveal his semi-muscular physique and the number of tattoos on his body, with his stomach in bandages, as he also wore an eye patch over his right eye and he had 3 small ponytails in reminiscence of the old samurai hairstyle. It would appear that he was a ronin with the huge stitch over his forehead and hair growing from the spaces where it would normally have been shaved if he were a samurai, as his beard pointed to the ground. An evil smirk formed on their faces as they began unsheathing their swords. The muscular ronin then sliced the door open, surprising Tsunami in fear of the 2 men at the door who entered as unwanted guests of the house. "So you're Tazuna's daughter. I'm sorry, but you're coming with us," the snow-capped ronin said. As Inari had just finished washing his hands, he heard his mother scream in terror as the 2 ronins began roughing her up. Inari ran as fast as he could to the kitchen and saw his mother prone on the floor. "Okaa-san," Inari cried, causing the 3 other people in the room to turn their heads to see the young boy. Tsunami began sweating in fear that her son was foolishly entering the scene of danger. Fearing for the boy's life, the mother cried, "Inari, don't come here. Run. What do you want, kid? Should we take him too?" the muscular ronin said to his compatriot. "We only need 1 hostage," the snow-capped ronin replied. Inari shirked back in fright as the muscular man brought up his sword to slay poor little Inari. Tsunami was at a loss at what to do. She had no other choice as she said, "Wait. If you do anything to him, I'll bite my own tongue and die. You need a hostage, right?" The two Ronin gazed at her in spite as the muscular man sheathed the gleaming blade. "Thank your mom, Gaki," the snow-capped Ronin said to the young boy. Inari was helpless. He cried his little heart out and slumped where he stood as the two Ronins approached the self-sacrificing mother. The young boy felt darkness consume him as he thought, "I feel so helpless. Okaa-san is going to be taken away and I can't do anything about it, just like Otou-san. Please. Anyone. Save my mom, anyone. Oji-san, Otu-san, Naruto-ni-san. Anyone. Anybody please save us." Inari shouted out loud. His cries were not in vain as a kunai struck deep in the back of the head of the two Ronin killed them. Tsunami and Inari were shocked at the gruesome display that took only 3 seconds to deliver at the leisure of their innocent eyes. The red water soiled the beautiful trench coat that Naruto was wearing. He then looked at Inari and said, "Good thing you screamed or I'll never have woken up." Inari was still too shaken up by what Naruto had just done. It took a good fist to his head for him to wake up from his stupor as Naruto said, "Hey, Inari, take care of your mother for me. I need to head back to the bridge to help them out. Gato's behind all of this, so I need to protect Tazuna. If anyone tries to harm your mom." The young blonde then handed the 2 swords of the dead Ronins to Inari and continued, "You know what to do." As Naruto was about to leave, Tsunami called him. "What is it, Tsunami-chan? I need to talk to you before you leave, could you follow me please?" As they reached Tsunami room, she dragged him in. "Naruto, thank you for saving our life, how about I give a reward?" Naruto looked at her as she came closer, swaying her hips slightly. "Relax and let me treat you to something nice, Naruto-kun." She smiled sweetly at him, the smile making him smile too, since it had a lot of warmth within it. He looked at her and then saw her kneel, her hands moving towards his crotch. She looked at his pants and then began to unbutton them, him not resisting one bit as she slid them down, looking at his boxers. Then he remembered his friends. "Wait," as he grabbed her hand, "I have helped my friends at the bridge. You friend can take care of themselves, they very strong are they?" "You're right," as he let go of her hand, then he put up a silence barrage. She slides her hands down his boxers, taking his tool out, then she began stroking him off. The redhead groaned as his began to harden, blood gushing towards it. "Wow, it's a lot bigger than when I saw through his pants," she thought. "It's been so long since I've been with a man, Naruto-kun. I'm afraid I can't let you go until you satisfy me for hours," she said huskily as she continued stroking him off. She then promptly began to the underside of his, letting him feel her tongue going over the sensitive side of his, making him twitch in pleasure. That's it, Tsunami-chan, it like a lollipop," he told her, massaging her scalp, causing her to sum incoherently. Tsunami was having some similar thoughts, how she wanted to ride this man and make sure she would be getting some more of this in the future. After 10 minutes, Naruto gave a groan. "Tsunami-chan, I'm coming," he warned her as she took his out of her mouth with a wet plop. She strokes him off, causing him to shoot his seed into her hair, face, neck. She moved her hands to the bottom of her shirt and slid it off, throwing it to the side of the couch. She then reached behind her back and unclasped her as she sandwiched Naruto's tool and began swirling her tongue across his tip up the remnants of his seed. After a few moments, he pulled her up, causing her to squeak and placing her on the bed. He pushed up her dress and moved her panties aside. Naruto rubbed his fingers against her womanhood, causing her to shriek in delight. Naruto then pressed his face to her crock and began the lips of her. He could feel her ache and desire as his tongue entered her. He figured with her busy schedule she didn't even have time to relieve herself. "Oh Kami. That's it, Naruto-kun. Pleasure your little," she said wantonly. It was a complete 180 in her usual personality. A bit of demonic pheromones and the lack of could change a person. After a few moments, he felt her buck into his face, causing her to let out a scream as her fluids rushed Naruto's face. Naruto damned near drowned by the volume of the fluid splashing into his face and down his throat. The woman wasn't kidding about the lack of. "Are you alright, Naruto-kun?" she asked, looking at him with a small bit of worry within her eyes. Cough. Cough, yeah, just wheeze, a bit more than I, gulped, expected. He said, Next thing he knew, he was on his back again. She rubs her against his, causing it to harden again. Tsunami gave him a lustful smile as she steadied his and rose up slightly. She slowly sunk onto him. They ed in unison as his tool filled her warm aching. Naruto could feel her warmth around his. It was incredible. She was only slightly looser than May due to the fact she was virgin. Naruto shot up, very his face into her valley as he thrust upwards into her, causing her to cry out in ecstasy and his name. That's it, Naruto-kun, come inside me. I want to have your baby. It was evident the effect he was having in her. He gave a groan as he filled her insides with his seed, which in result brought Tsunami to her own release as her juices flowed down her canal. Naruto-kun, we are not done yet, I need again, she said as Naruto jumped to attention once again. That was something he definitely wasn't expecting. He moved her to his hands and knees as he moved behind her. He pushed forward as she groaned as Naruto filled her again. 1 hour later. That's it, Naruto-kun, my little tight. That's it, Naruto, come in me, she said, then gave out a long drawn out. After a few minutes, both cried out their lover's name as they both came to climax, drenching the bed in their fluids. At the bridge, the joint team then grit themselves for battle as the 6 missing nins begun their assault. Haku ran towards the back and assaulted Sasuke, Kiba and Akamaru, with Zabuza charging Kakashi and locking him in place with the pressure of his Zanbato on Kakashi's kunai. Kurenai sprang into action to help when suddenly, one of the missing nins blocked her path. Anika tried to rush to Sasuke's aid until Aoi blocked her path and begun attacking her. Hana decided to help out Anika since he could see that Sasuke and Kiba was holding his own, while Shino, Sakura and Hinata decided to stay out of the fight and guard Tazuna as they begun the battle on the bridge. The other 2 missing nins left charged them, guarding Tazuna until they were kept in check by Shino, who sent a bug wall to help as he shifted his attention to the other 2 missing nins. Hinata, Sakura, please keep Tazuna safe and stay out of the fight unless we say otherwise. Without Naruto here, it will be a long battle, Shino said calmly as they begun to defend the life of Tazuna. XXXXXXXXXXXXXX. Sasuke's fight. XXXXXXXXXXXXX. Haku begun spinning wildly as a partial cyclone formed around him until Sasuke and Kiba waited and blocked the Senbon of Haku with the kunai in their hand. Oh, so they are able to catch up to his speed, Zabuza said as he quickly glanced at the deadlock of Sasuke, Kiba and Haku. You should pay more attention to your surroundings, said the one-eyed Junin as he intentionally fell back and landed on his hands, allowing Zabuza's full weight forward as he kicked the missing nin upwards. Zabuza timed his momentum in the air and flipped so that he landed back upon solid ground just a few feet away from Kakashi as the one-eyed Junin charged with kunai in hand as he resumed the deadlock. With Sasuke and Kiba, Sasuke managed to break away from the deadlock with Haku as Kiba tried to attack him from behind with a kunai but miss and Haku vanish. Then Sasuke attack again as the sounds of metal clashing rang through the condensed air as their blades constantly met until they stopped spinning and landed back where they started. Neither one gave way to the other as they struggled to push. Haku, being the normally kind and gentle soul he was, spoke to the young Uchiha with sadness in his heart. I don't want to kill you, but you won't back off, right? He said without losing his grip on the Senbon. What are stupid, I am an elite, you can't kill me, Sasuke and Kiba said with all seriousness. Haku then replied confidently, as I thought, but you won't be able to keep up with me for my next move. And I'm already ahead of you. He's just bluffing. There's no way out since I got one of his hands full, Sasuke thought as he kept his cool. 2 steps ahead, the young Uchiha said sarcastically as he activates his Sharingan. The first one is the water on the ground. And the second one is that I'm keeping one of your arms busy. Therefore you can only take and block my attacks, Haku stated as he began creating seals with one hand, which caught the young Uchiha by surprise. Nani? He's creating seals with one hand, Sasuke thought as he witnessed abilities far beyond his capacity. Even Kakashi, who managed to glimpse the feat at the corner of his eyes, was surprised with the astounding ability as Haku then said, Haijutsu, Sensatsu Susho. The masked boy then kicked the water upward, causing them to transform into Senbons of ice that surrounded the young Uchiha ready to impale him. Sasuke, with his free hand, formed one-handed seal and then concentrated hard, then replace himself with Kiba, who got him pale with the Senbons. Sakura was shocked. Hinata was furious. How dare he do that to a friend? Even Haku was shocked. Never did he expect that someone would do that to his own teammate. How could you, Tem? Kiba said as he fell to the ground. Sasuke said nothing as he turned his attention back to Haku. Haku managed to back up in time to keep his distance for the next attack. The masked nin noticed it quickly and leapt back several times to evade the shuriken thrown by the raven-haired boy as he landed back down onto the ground to begin the next phase of attack. By the time Haku had stopped, Sasuke was already behind him, ready to strike. You're pretty slow. Now you can only receive and block my attacks, Sasuke said with confidence. Both nins blurred out of the way as they resumed their assault. Haku once again got Sasuke within a deadlock as Sasuke blocked his Senbon aimed at his right side with the kunai in his left hand and his right hand coiled back to his left shoulder. He then dexterously switched his grip on the kunai in his right hand and threw it at Haku, causing him to duck to avoid the kunai, allowing Sasuke to kick him in the face as Haku skidded a few feet away. Zabuza then kicked Kakashi out of the way just in time to see his prized tool beaten in his own strength. Haku was beaten in speed, Zabuza said as his eyes widened in amazement. Looks like my speed was better, Sasuke said as he ran towards Kiba to join his battle. XXXXXXXXXXXX. Anika's fight. XXXXXXXXXXX. Aoi began by throwing a shuriken towards Anika and Hana made hand seals as he said, Cage Shuriken no Jutsu. The shurikens then multiplied in number, but Anika evaded all while Hana used rotation to deflect them. Then Anika run through some of her own fire release. Great fireball as the fireball shoot at him. Kuso. I hate bitches, they are so weak I don't even have to use my sword at them, said Aoi as he water release water wall as his attack cancel out hers. Is that all you got? That suddenly Hana appeared behind him. 8 trigrams 64 palms, she roared. 2 palms. 4 palms. 8 palms, 16 palms, 32 palm, 64 palms. As she finished send Aoi into a tree, his body turned into a water clone. Hana then sent flying by a kick from Aoi. You almost caught me, you little bitch. Then he run through some hand sign water release great shark bullet and shoot at Hana. Shino's fight. The two missing nins each threw a bottle into the ground and then made hand seals and both shouted, Mizu Bunshin no Jutsu. The water that spilled on the ground then rose and shaped themselves into clones of the nins that begun to form hand seals, and one shouted, Sweden, Sweegoden. The clone of one reverted back into water and became pressurized drillheads of water that headed straight for Shino. The bug user then made a wall of bugs that halted most of the attack until an opening in the wall allowed the other Mizu Bunshin to charge straight through and grab Shino and explode like a suicide bomber of water. The nins were surprised that the fallen body of Shino suddenly degenerated into bugs that seeped into the cracks and crevices of the wooden planks of the bridge. Crafty little runt. Keep close. He's hiding somewhere, the nin said to his comrade as they created more Mizu Bunshins to surround and protect themselves until one of the nins spotted a shade in the mist and threw a kunai at it until it revealed itself to be bugs in Shino's shape. The kunai then dropped to the floor as the bugs sank back into the floor. The clones then huddled closer to the nins as they protected their masters with their short lives. As they tensed in the mist, a different colored smoke appeared from underneath them. They saw the smoke and begun separating as they fell for Shino's trap. Several of Shino's bugs lay in wait in the crevices of the planks, and the moment the nins separated, the bugs begun latching onto them. The bugs began eating up the chakra of the clones and the originals as the clones became the first to lose shape and return back to water. The nins attempted to use their bunshins to wash away the bugs, all to no avail as they hung on quite tightly. Why? How come they won't come off? The panicked nin said to his comrade. He then grabbed onto the ledge and couldn't remove his hand and realized what just happened to them as Shino revealed himself from the mist. Since when did you have time to get something like this? Did you foresee this? The nin said as he died on the spot. Shino said nothing, however his comrade wasn't ready to give up as he recklessly ran past Shino and charged to maim and kill the two kunoichis and Tazuna. Shoot. I let him get past me. Shino thought his reach to grab his kunai only for the missing nin to be already within stabbing range as he drew his kunai and grabbed Sakura and threw her back at Shino to hamper his counterattack only to receive a sharp pain in his chest from a Juken strike by Hinata. Killing the nin. With Kakashi. Zabuza was amazed with what he saw from his point of view as he said, "These kids are pretty good to hold their own." "I'm surprised." Kakashi then confidently said, "You can't make fun of our team just because we have children. Sasuke is Konohagakure's top rookie. Sakura is one of the village's smartest child." Zabuza then shook his head in embarrassment that his team was killed by genins. As you can see, Shino is an expert of stealth and strategy with the way he handled the fight. Hinata, as you've just witnessed, is of the Hyuga clan from her fighting style. She may be timid, but she's no pushover with the amount of determination she's shown so far. Kakashi said as he took to his stance once more. Zabuza looked at each one carefully and true enough, the genins were talented and capable. But as he thought about the genins, he then realized something. "You're missing one, the one that almost killed me." Zabuza pointed out. Kakashi then calmly explained, "That one, he is a nobody, just the village demon." "A very strong nobody that could beat you," Zabuza replied. "Just shut up and fight." Kurenai's fight. Kurenai decided to focus on taijutsu since her opponent was less skilled in taijutsu than her. The nin then brought out a small hatchet and tried to even the odds as he swung it left and right until Kurenai grabbed that arm with her left hand and stabbed the kunai into it. The nin didn't flinch as he grabbed her by the neck with his free hand until she kicked him away. The nin then removed the kunai just in time to see the crimson-eyed Junin disappear into cherry blossoms. He then placed his hands into a familiar seal and said, "Kai." The genjutsu failed as the nin then turned around and punched her deep in the gut as he brought out his kunai and stabbed her in the arm as he threw her back on the floor and began tearing up her clothing with his bare hands as he pinned her against her will. She was helpless and the nin smiled wildly as he said, "That wound is payback. But I'll be gentle this time. I'll take my time with you so that I can have my fun." The nin then began squeezing her until his hands suddenly sank deep into her body and Kurenai wrapped her legs around his waist. The nin panicked as she transformed into a cherry blossom tree that had him in its grasp as the branches formed around his body and held him upside down while half of Kurenai's body emerged from the top of the trunk as she said with kunai in hand, "This wound will be payback for you perverted personality. But I'll be gentle this time. I'll take my time with you so that I can have my fun." The nin panicked as sweat poured from his face. She then plunged the kunai into his crotch without hesitation as the nin screamed in agony from the horrible wound that he received. She then twisted the blade which inflicted more pain as she then slid her torso along with the blade allowing the kunai to split him in half until the genjutsu faded leaving her crouching beside the now brain-dead nin from the suffering of shock as she fell to the ground. Zabuza and Kakashi, who were the only ones that was witnessing that battle, shuddered in fear as they both thought, "She's scary when she's serious. I'd better keep clear for now." Anika and Hana fight. Earth release giant earth wall as she blocks the shark. "You did forget about little old me, did you?" Anika said with a smile on her face. "No." She heard someone whisper in her ears as turn and punch sending her flying into the air and suddenly Aoi was up there, wait for even with a axe kick to the face sending her back to the ground to form a Anika-sized crater, Dragon Ball Z style, as Hana rushed to check on her friend Aoi her off with a kick to the stomach sending her 5 feet away. "Ha ha ha, weak bitch, now where are you hiding the redhead? I want to kill him," he said. Suddenly both rush at him engaging him in a furious taijutsu battle as doge both of their attack with incredible speed and then he hit them both in stomach then to the face sending them flying then he run through some hand sign water release great water dragon and giant dragon crash into both of them. As the lay there Aoi walk over to them. "That why hate bitches all they are good for is," as he walk over to Anika and started to rip of her pants as he took out his to enter her. With Kakashi. Zabuza then smirked. "Keep watch of your back, Kakashi. It's disgraceful," he said until the fallen form of Kakashi transformed into water. Then Zabuza created several water dragons. The one-eyed Junin couldn't get close with the water dragons rampaging the bridge. With Sasuke. Sasuke made a weak smile until several senbons lodged on his back. He turned his head to see nothing until he reflexively realized as he saw Haku's foot smash into his face causing him to skid to the back. Sasuke-kun. Sakura shouted as Hinata held Sakura back and said, Sakura-san. Please focus or you may never live to see him again. Sakura looked over to Hinata and realized she was right. Her hands were trembling, saying that she was worried as well, but she knew better than to let her guard down. It's a shame, Haku stated as he approached Sasuke. The raven-haired boy got up to his feet as he drew his twin kunais once more. He sharpened his gaze at the masked boy as he got into a fighting stance once more with an aura of cold air emanating from him. That's cold air, Sasuke said as his eyes widened at what he saw. Haku began forming hand seals. As he molded his chakra, ice began forming behind and around the two as they formed into the shape of mirrors that began to surround them in a globe. Haijutsu, Makio Hyosho. Sasuke was trapped in the half-globe formation of ice mirrors as Haku entered one and his reflection was seen on all the mirrors. What is that technique? Kakashi questioned. Zabuza laughed as he crossed his arms in confidence. These are mirrors. What is he going to do? Sasuke said, as he found no opening to leap out from. Zabuza then blocked Kakashi from turning to save his student as he said, I'm your opponent, remember? He's a goner now that Haku has used that technique. Haku then told the young Uchiha, let's begin. I will show you my true speed. The masked nin began throwing Senbon after Senbon as it grazed the young Uchiha left and right. Sasuke began screaming and grunting from the velocity and sharpness of the Senbons that pierced the young Uchiha's skin. With Hinata, Sasuke-kun, Sakura exclaimed as she saw her crush being slowly torn asunder by the needles that cut and pierced the raven-haired boy. Hinata then activated her Byakugan and scanned his body as she slowly took out the Senbons from the both of them. He paralyzed your nerves so you won't be able to fight for the duration of the day. That and also you were exhausted from the last fight. With Kakashi. Kakashi on the other hand was at a bind as Zabuza said to him, if you move without thinking, I'll kill the three behind you and the rest of your team if they interfere. With Hinata, Sakura could not take it any longer as she mustered her courage and said to the old bridge builder and Hinata, Tazuna-san, I'm sorry. I'm going to move from here for a minute. Hinata-chan, please look after them for a while. Sure. Go. Tazuna said. Sakura then took out a kunai from her holster and leapt up into the air and threw it as she said, take this. The kunai then headed straight in between the mirrors. The pink-haired girl then thought, Yosh. It will make it. While the kunai passed through the space, Haku did catch it in midair from one of the mirrors. Sakura was shocked as she exclaimed, he caught it. Then Haku appeared behind her, smash her fist against the pink-haired girl knocking her out. Then Haku was about to go over to the bridge builder when he heard chirp birds and run towards Zabuza. Kakashi's fight. Kakashi stood in his ground as he heard Sakura screaming Sasuke's name. Zabuza smirked as he said, it sounds like they're being beaten. It won't take long once Haku uses that technique. After all, he created that jutsu all by himself and I can't copy it. Kakashi sharpened his gaze as he replied, a bloodline limit jutsu. So that explains it. As Kakashi racked his mind for a strategy to defeat Zabuza, he realized there was no other choice as he reached for his Hitai and said, I'm sorry, but I'm going to finish this quickly. Zabuza smirked as he replied, Sharingan EH. How unoriginal. The Zanbato-wielding nin then reached his left hand into his pocket and quickly dashed to Kakashi as he brought out a kunai in his left hand and lunged it to Kakashi's head as the one-eyed Junin managed to catch his hand before it reached. However, he wasn't able to lift his Hitai because of the attack. Blood began to drip from his right hand that caught the blade on instinct as the red water made droplets on the floor. Kakashi wasn't afraid to get hurt. More so when Zabuza lunged like that at him. The confident, bleeding Junin looked Zabuza in the eye and said, even if you say it's unoriginal, are you still afraid of my Sharingan, Zabuza? Zabuza countered that question by replying to him, you're not supposed to show your master technique more than one time to another shinobi. Kakashi then replied, be thankful, you're the only one who gets to see this eye more than once. And there will not be a third time. Feeling still confident, Zabuza then said to him, even if you can beat me, you can't beat Haku. I've taught him fighting techniques since he was a little boy. I taught him everything I knew. And he proceeded to improve his own techniques. As a result, he was able to produce results in any difficult situation imaginable. He threw away his beliefs in a heart and a life. He is a fighting machine labeled as a shinobi. On top of that, his techniques surpass mine. He has that dreadful ability, the bloodline limit. I got myself an advanced tool. He's different from the scraps you carry. Zabuza then withdrew the kunai from Kakashi's bleeding hand as he backed away a few steps to get into position. Even if scraps attack in numbers, they can't beat Haku. He is the best tool. Zabuza said with a smug grin underneath his bandaged mouth. Kakashi was not amused. The one-eyed Junin then said, "There's nothing more boring than hearing someone brag. Let's begin." With that, he lifted his Hitai-8 revealing his Sharingan eye. Zabuza smirked at his luck. His removal of his Hitai-8 over his left eye. He listened well as Zabuza continued. "I've been eager to copy what you said. Let me tell you that the same technique won't work against me twice, was it?" The Zanbato-wielding nin said in mockery to Kakashi. Zabuza then made a handseal and said his trademark jutsu, Kirigakure no Jutsu. Mist began to engulf the surroundings even further, causing Zabuza to disappear from sight. What is this super thick fog? The visibility is almost down to zero. Tazuna said as visibility dropped drastically. Thinking on her feet, Hinata then said, "Tazuna-san, stick close to me." Zabuza is probably using this mist to conceal his movements. Even with the Byakugan, I can't see him very well, so we need to be on guard. With Hana and Anika, as he was about to enter her, he felt a palm him into his chest as Hana follow up. "I will not let you rape my best friend 8 trigrams 32 ball crusher," she roared. 2 balls, 4 balls, 8 balls, 16 balls, 32 balls. As she hit 32 times in his balls and destroyed them, everybody cross the bridge could hear the scream of Aoi, and every man throughout the elementary nation was holding their ball for no reason. As the scream died down, Aoi turned to her as her spit blood. You, and fell to the ground, then got up again. Bitch, and fell again dead. Author here. Can anyone guess which movie I got that line from? Then Hana fell to ground out cold. With Kakashi. Kakashi kept calm as he thought, even if he concealed himself in this mist, the mist is too thick, Zabuza himself shouldn't be able to see anything either. A familiar whirring sound could be heard behind the white-haired Junin as it got louder and sharper. Thinking on his feet, he reflexively turned around and quickly deflected the shurikens that were tossed at him to hit him from behind. "You dodged that quite nicely. Just what I expected from Kakashi, the Sharingan user," Zabuza said to Kakashi from behind him with eyes shut as he concentrated his chakra with a handseal. "He has his eyes closed," Kakashi thought as he saw the focused nin. "But when you see me next, that will be the end. You overestimate your Sharingan," Zabuza said as he concealed himself in the mist once more. "You talk as if you knew everything," Zabuza said as his voice continued to echo around Kakashi. Zabuza then continued his threat as he said, "Your prediction was incorrect. Kakashi, you cannot see through my mind or the future. Your Sharingan is just trickery that makes another think so. One who possesses the Sharingan has an eye of insight and an eye of hypnosis. Using those two abilities, you executed techniques one by one and acted like you knew the future. First, you copied my movement right away using your eye of insight. This is the form manipulation step. You used that to disturb me, and once you confirmed that my mind was shaking, you pretended that you were me and decided what I was thinking. That was the mind manipulation step. Then after you confirmed I was severely disturbed, you set up a clever trap. You used your eye of hypnosis to show me an illusion, made me form seals first, then copied it. This is the technique manipulation step." Kakashi was marveled and panicked at the detailed analysis he made of the Sharingan as Zabuza then said, "Since that is the case, the solution is easy. First, I conceal myself in this heavy fog and render your eye of insight useless." Kakashi leapt out of the way just in time to avoid a deep sword wound from Zabuza. "Kuso, I can't guard myself in time," Kakashi thought as he got back on his feet with his kunai drawn. "Then I close my eyes and kill the possibility that you will use your eye of hypnosis in close combat." Zabuza stated. "Why, that makes you blind too," Kakashi said, stating the obvious. "Have you forgotten? I am a master of silent killing. I can locate a target with just sound," Zabuza said, causing the white-haired Junin to pale in realization of how vulnerable his situation was. He fought with himself first in order to focus on finding a way to Zabuza. The white-haired Junin sighed as he thought, Hakuso. It's been a long time since I had to fight in such a bad situation. I'm worried about Sasuke and Sakura but, focus Kakashi. Be calm. Think. Where will he strike? Like lightning, the answer flashed in his mind. Kakashi then took out a scroll from his front pocket and unraveled it as he laid it out on the floor and rubbed his thumb on his wound and then onto the scroll as he made hand seals and said, Kuchios, Doden, Suiga no Jutsu. He then placed his right hand upon the scroll and soon Zabuza cried in pain as the mist cleared revealing his position in front of them with several dogs biting down hard on him to keep him in place. But how? Zabuza questioned. The answer is simple. My blood was on your sword. Those Ninkin are trained to sniff out their target in which case is my blood that also was on your sword. I really don't have time to explain but I will use my only original technique on you so pay attention since it will be your last. Kakashi then blurred through many hand seals which astonished both Zabuza and the rest of the team including marveled at the speed he was performing the hand seals. The moment Kakashi finished the last hand seal, he then held his right hand close to his chest and supported it with his left as lightning began forming around his hand. My only original jutsu. Reikiri. Kakashi said before charging at breakneck speed and thrusting his electrically charged hand into Zabuza's chest. Time seemed to stop for the team as did Haku who was able to see what was going to happen. He was helpless and could not reach there in time to help his mentor except watch his untimely demise before the arm went through the man's chest. Haku's eyes widened as tears began to fall from them. Zabuza coughed out blood as the weight of the red water tore the bandages on his mouth. Zabuza felt another pang in his heart as he saw the sad expression on Haku's face. As he was about to say something heard a laughing. It seems like the demon has been defeated. Gato, Zabuza said as he said Gato with hundred of men behind him. Haku looked at Gato coldly as he asked him, what is the meaning of this? We had a little change in plans. I'm glad that one of you is nearly I have less work to take care of. Gato said as he approached the down body of Zabuza and placed his foot on it. Haku's blood begun to boil as Gato gave him a good kick as he said, worthless piece of scum should die like the dogs they are. In the end, it's the master who gets the meat not the dog sent to fetch it. As the cruel man snickered and his mob of thugs laughed, Naruto suddenly appeared before them shocking them. Where have you been? Kakashi yelled at him but Naruto did not answer him. You must be Gato, said Naruto in a cold voice. So what if I am Brat? Naruto said nothing as he unsealed a sword that looks like Hawkeye from One Piece but it is red blade instead of black. Gato ran away when saw the sword and said, don't come near me. What are you waiting for boys? Get him. Gato ran to the very back and felt safe and secure until Naruto went into a sword that only Zabuza know. Everybody get down, Zabuza yelled. Kakashi then created some clone to pick up all his teammate that was knocked out. Back with Naruto. Naruto then lifted his sword up as it glow red and said, for your cruelty against these people of wave your punishment will be death may Kami-sama have mercy on your soul. As Naruto swung his sword horizontally he said world's strongest clash. And great explosion rocked the bridge killing Gato and his men. As the smoke cleared Naruto was down to one knee then Kakashi heard Zabuza said, so that I final see it. What is that? Kakashi asked. That is the strongest attack a sword man can use only one has ever been able to use it until now he was number one. You mean Hawkeye? Kakashi said in a shocked voice Zabuza nodded his head. But how did Naruto learn such a strong move? Haha why don't you ask him yourself? I think I will, as he walked towards Naruto. Kurenai, Hana and Anika awoke to see the destruction around them was wondering what happened until they saw Naruto they rushed toward him cutting of Kakashi. With Zabuza. As Haku arrived with the last of his strength, the dying nin then said, shinobi are tools of war and destruction. But before we are shinobi, we are human first. We cannot completely change that fact. That smile on your face proves it as well as those tears from your eyes. I'm sorry I couldn't show you the right path in life. But please, live, so you can find that path, yourself. With that his eyes closed forever. The nin died with a sad smile on his face as Haku stared into Zabuza's lifeless eyes. Kiba, Sasuke and Sakura awoke to hear what Zabuza had said. It was a sad moment as Kurenai then said to her team, what Zabuza said about shinobis are true. But what he said about us being human first is also true. This is the life we chose to live in. This is the life we will face every day where death is a part of our job. Hinata then went closer to Haku and stared at the corpse of the nin as she said, he really cared about you despite how cold he was to you. He said. I know what he said. I read his lips. He was a cold man. But he also was a caring one even though he was a monster. He even got mad at me when I told him that I met Naruto in the forest and the offer he made me. But he also looked out for my welfare and cried at times. He wasn't perfect, but he was the closest family I ever had aside from my mother and father. And just like them he withered away. Naruto then placed his left hand on Haku's shoulder and, I am sorry. It's not your fault that just life. We may be free from Gado's tyranny but we need to finish this bridge. Tazuna said to the team. Sorry about the bridge old man, how about I help you rebuild it, Naruto said. Tazuna smiled as he said, don't worry about it, guys are heroes of wave, you need rest and relaxation as well as medical attention. We'll take the super jobs from here. Naruto exclaimed as the rest of the team sweat dropped. After all that fighting he still has the stamina to leap around like that. Haku asked the team. Hana then replied to him, Naruto-kun is always energetic, I can't wait to get him in my bed. Sister, was heard throughout the bridge coming from an embarrassed Hinata, she could believe to say that in front of everybody. With that, Haku took Zabuza's body and left for the burial while the rest of the team trudged back home for some well-deserved rest as they retired for the night to recuperate and help out with the work for the bridge's completion the following days. The bridge was finally completed and everyone was at gate as their saviors were leaving. The village thanked for their help as they called them up one by one to thank them by the new leader of Wave Country Tsunami. As it was Naruto's turn, there were lots of screaming for him, especially from the ladies. Naruto, we love you, screamed the ladies. We want to have your babies, screamed the ladies. As Naruto reached the platform, Tsunami hugs him and thank him for saving the village. As she released him from the hug and Naruto was about to step down, he felt someone hold onto his hand and drag him into the most brief kiss he had ever had. As they parted, Tsunami whispered into his ears, can't wait to feel you inside me again, while blushing. Then she felt it 3 key directed at her. As she turned around she saw that it was coming from Anika. Hana and Kurenai Tsunami let out some of her own, show that she may not be a ninja but she wouldn't back down for the love of Naruto. As the ninja left, everybody was complaining about what to name the bridge. How about the Great Kakashi Bridge, said one of the villagers. Everybody just looked at him and started to laugh. He's so ashamed that he didn't say anything for the rest of the day. How about the Great J3000, said a girl. Who is that fool, said one of the villager. He is greatest author around and he is the one writing this story right now, plus he hot and, the said as blood was seen coming out of her noise. You meaning that worthless shit he can't write a good story to save his life, said a villager. Has everybody started to laugh. Suddenly a great shadow appeared. You dare say that about me, great and powerful author, said the author. Huh, you same something, replied the villages. You guys are so mean, as the author run away crying. How about the Great Naruto Bridge, said Tsunami. Then everybody started to cheer. With Konoha Ninja. As they rest for the night, Kakashi and Sasuke try to question Naruto about his ability and swords while secretly wanting to learn the jutsu used to kill Gado's men themselves after finding out that it was a cage-ranked kinjutsu. He just leveled them with a glare at their attitude, and shrugged them off, which only caused them to bother him more, until he, Kawaramite with 2 clones to get away from him. Konoha Gate. As they reached the gate they were stopped by the gate guards by order of the Hokage. The teams looked confused and with begrudging remarks waited at the gate, until several Anbu officers showed up and finally answered the unanimous question everyone wanted answered. Uzumaki Naruto, please come with us to Hokage-sama's office, the council wishes to speak with you and Hokage-sama. Said a tiger-masked Anbu. I'll only go with you if Neko-chan is with you, said Naruto. The teams and Kakashi just looked at him with questioning looks. But upon seeing the annoyance on his face, guessed it was news to them as well. You will come with me, right, demon, said the tiger Anbu as he was about to attack. A fist caught him, sending him flying into the trees. It was from a purple hair Anbu wearing a Neko masked. I'm right here, Naruto-kun, said Neko as she took his hand, then they vanish in a red flash. Kakashi and Hana spoke to their team and Haku quickly before dismissing the teams and leaving them to go on their separate way. Kakashi then shunshed away, hoping to have a word with Sarutobi before the meeting happened. Hokage Tower. As they reach the Hokage door, Naruto stop. What's wrong, Naruto-kun? Neiko asked. Naruto walked up to her and took her mask off, revealing the beautiful face of Yugao and gentle kiss her on her lips as she blush. I wanted to thank you for what you did earlier, Naruto said. It's no problem, she said as she kisses him back while blushing. Then they heard. Enter. An aged voice called out from within his office as Neiko put her mask back on. Then the rest of the Anbu arrived. Hokage-sama, we have retrieved Uzumaki Naruto as you've requested once they returned from their mission in Wave. The Neiko, masked Anbu stated in her work voice. Ah, good, thank you, Neiko, you may go back to your posts now, Sarutobi ordered, waving his hand in dismissal. Hey Yugao-chan, maybe we can have dinner sometime, Naruto said, give a foxy smile. Sure Naruto-kun, when I have time, said Yugao while blushing behind the mask. Then she vanished. The three Anbu quickly left the office, leaving only the two occupants in the room in silence. Sarutobi was filling out some more paperwork for a few minutes before the Naruto became agitated. Oji-san, if you just wanted to annoy me, then you are doing a good job. Now why have you and the council summoned me for? Naruto asked, with an annoyed tone. Sarutobi stamped his insignia on a single paper before putting the rest away inside. I wasn't the one to call this meeting, the council called it, but I don't know why. Though I assume that it'll have to do something with you and your bloodline. The Hokage responded. Well, it was bound to happen sooner or later. Kurumu said. Gomen, I didn't want to reveal. Kakashi, I dislike eavesdroppers. Get out here now, Naruto said. A shadow in the corner of the room began to bend and warp into the form of the infamous copy ninja, with an embarrassing smile under his mask. You better have a good reason for this, Hatake. This meeting is a private matter of which you have no need to be a part of. Sarutobi growled out, not only for his subordinates eavesdropping, but also that Naruto called the Cyclops out when he didn't notice him himself. Gomenasai Hokage-sama, he started with a bow. Quote. I had come here to have a word with you before this meeting occurred. But the Anbu got here before I could, and I just came in hoping I could still get that chance. He explained. That still doesn't explain why you purposely hid yourself from us, and then listened in on this meeting. The Hokage countered. Kakashi's nonchalant mannerisms quickly left, leaving only battle-hardened shinobi standing there. It's because I have concerns that need to be answered about these, him standing in front of me, Hokage-sama. He began before eyeing the teen. Quote. I have seen strong genin in my time. But I have never seen any as strong as him. His skills are greater than mine, and he used jutsu that I never seen before, and also have two powerful swords. I want to know who he really is and what he is truly capable of. Kakashi's hardened voice cut through the room, making everyone know he was deathly serious about every word he just spoke. Sarutobi just sighed softly. I should have figured that if anyone of the Junin would find these about him, it would be Kakashi. Gomen Kakashi, but those questions not even I can completely answer. I only know the tip of the iceberg when it comes to these him. If you wish to know more, you can ask him yourself, but I doubt he will tell you. He confessed. Kakashi just looked analyzing at the Naruto in front of him, before sighing, and nodded to his commander. And after what I've done to him, I know he won't tell me. So all I can do is wait until he reveals himself or trusts me enough to tell me the truth. Gomenasai, my intrusion will not happen again, he explained, making Naruto crack a small smile. Like that ever going to happen? I rather kill you first, Naruto, though. Well, since we got that out of the way, Kakashi, you'll have to leave. As you've heard, the council wishes to speak with me, and I'm bringing along your student. Kakashi nodded in knowing the situation and bowed once more before shunning out of the office to leave the two to the torture that awaited them in that room. We going in with the plan, right, Kurumu-chan? Naruto mentally asked his mate. Hi, it'll be far too annoying to have those people know what you can do. She answered back. As the Hokage got up from his desk, he noticed Naruto dispelling something, and then seemed to seal what looked like a body in a storage scroll. He was about to ask Naruto what he was doing, but knew the boy had so many secrets that asking would probably only cause him to come up with even more questions than he already had. Naruto did a hand sealed for the something that looks like Kuchio's no jutsu, which piqued the man's interest and watched in fascination as Naruto slam his hand into the ground seal release Kurumu. Sarutobi almost had a heart attack when his eyes met the gaze of the fox, as she transformed into her human form, his hand immediately going for his kunai under his robes. She ignored the Hokage and ran straight at Naruto and hugs him while crushing her cleavage into his face. "Did you miss me, Nar-kun?" she said. Naruto didn't get to answer as she captured his lip with hers. Then she saw the Hokage coming closer with his kunai. "Calm down, Hokage. I'm not going to kill you." Kurumu's voice as she got off of Naruto. The old man relaxed at her words, and quickly looked ashamed for his reaction. "Gomenasai Kyuubi-san, bad memories," he whispered out, getting an understanding nod from the vixen. "You don't fight a 50-story fox, and get over it when you see a large fox again." That day was a large pill to swallow for all of us. She agreed, her visage showing deep pain, before a set of hands wrap around her waist affectionately, making her glad Naruto was with her now. Then she told him what happened that night. "I understand. Are you both ready now?" he asked. Council chambers. The council chambers were currently filled to the brim with delegates from every important family clan that belonged to the Hidden Leaf Village. The council consisted of 8 civilian clan heads, the Hokage's 3 personal advisors, and 8 shinobi clan heads. However, only 6 of the shinobi seats are filled. The Namikaze, Uchiha and Uzumaki seats were empty, awaiting a time for their clan to return to glory. This made the council equally split positions and power between the civilians and shinobi. However, the true and final power of the council was held by the Hokage herself. The council members were having their own separate conversations before a knock resounded against the large wooden double doors. The council quickly quieted down, while an Anbu officer allowed the Hokage entrance. Sarutobi sighed. If he hated one thing more the paperwork, it was council meetings. Because in the end he'd just have that much more paperwork to do whether he gets his way or not anyway. He swiftly reached the stand meant only for the Hokage, while Naruto stood beside him. "Before we started, where my mother, old man, is?" Naruto asked. "She's on a mission. She will be back next week. Let this meeting come to order." Sarutobi called out, getting the last remnants of whispers silenced. "Now this meeting has been appointed by the council itself to have an audience with me. What does the council wish to speak with me about concerning the village?" He eyed the heads to see who'd speak up first. "We are here to talk about the CRA for the young Uzumaki. You know how it goes already, no need in writing it." 2 hours later. As Naruto left the meeting, he was furious. Can't believe they were forcing him to get 2 wives before the exam. Not he could find women. He had 2 already, twin by the way. Flashback 1 year ago. As Naruto entered Mizukage Manor to his room, expecting to see Mei. As he entered his room, the door behind them closed. He turned around to see Mai standing there with a seductive smile on her face. Mai pulled him in a tight hug and kissed him, thrusting her tongue into his mouth, as she sensually rubbed her body against his. Without breaking the kiss, Mai did one-handed hand seal, placing silencing barrier on the room. As they continued kissing, she unbuttoned his cloak and removed it from him, tossing in the corner of the room, before starting her work on his jacket. When Naruto stopped her, "We can't do this. I am with your sister now, so nothing can happen with us as much as I want to," Naruto said as he was about to walk away when he heard Mei's voice. "Where are you going, Naruto? I am okay with it if you want to take my sister as your," said Mei. "Are you sure, Mei-chan?" Naruto said. "Of course, Naruto-kun, my sister and I share everything together. Why don't we continue where we left off?" Naruto-kun while watched, Mai said behind him. Naruto then gave her a gentle squeeze, then began unbuttoning the top part of her battle kimono, while kiss her. By the time they broke the kiss, they both were topless. They played with each other. Naruto was slowly fingering her with one finger while his red-haired goddess was giving his slow strokes that were keeping it erected. Finally done there, Redhead stopped stroking him, while he removed his finger from her, which he gladly ate clean. Mai took his hand in hers and led him to the bed, but before they have even reached the bed, Naruto couldn't wait any longer and, wrapping her long hair around her frame, turned Mai around and, picking her up, pushed her against the wall and kissed her deeply. Mei didn't mind this at all and wrapped her long legs around his waist and her hands around his shoulders while kissing back as passionately, into the kiss when his entered her wanting and began moving inside it. Several minutes into the, Mai broke the kiss. Na a ruto ko o oi I want, to fell, another, marvelous, of yours. She said between her s. Naruto turned them around so that now he was leaning against the wall and spread her cheeks while summoning single shadow clone without hand seals. The doppelganger already knew what the red-haired goddess wanted and immediately thrust his into her. Yeesss. Mai hissed in pleasure, leaning back against clone's chest. Yee. That's it. Soon she wasn't crying in pleasure as two Naruto were her relentlessly. Coming twice, red-haired Mai ordered the clone exit her and step back. Somehow understanding what she wanted to do next, the real Naruto unwrapped her hands from his shoulders and took them in his, allowing his love to lean back till her back was parallel to the floor. Now the clone was throat Mai and playing with her tits, while her was used by the original. Seeing his goddess's throat stretching as she was in her mouth made Naruto cum, filling her womb to the brim with his seed. The clone came not a minute later. After swallowing his seed, Naruto's vixen let its out of her mouth, before raising herself enough to lay her head on its shoulder. While Mei was in the corner playing with herself. Oh, the real Naruto yelped as his clone dispelled from having its shoulder bitten with just enough power to do so. The Kyuubi Jinchuriki had his member erect again, making Mei in pleasure, as he relieved all of clone's memories and feelings in a flash. He pulled her back into vertical position, thrusting into her again, and she wrapped her hand around his shoulders again while kissing in the spot she bit the clone at. Someone wanted to move to the bed, he said, from her ministration and her. She raised her head and looked into his eyes. Okay, she said quietly. The blonde shinobi, not sliding out of her, just stopping her, carried his love to the bedroom and laid her down on the bed. Mei unwrapped her legs from his waist, and Naruto placed them on his shoulders before he continued her, his hands again on her delicious massaging them, having her loudly in pure pleasure. My cha-a-a-an. He cried out in pleasure as he reached his climax and sent another load of his cum into her. Panting from all this they did up to now, Naruto fell forward onto his hands. Mai's hand moved to her crotch, taking his now limp out of her, and rubbed its sensitive tip against her even more sensitive, making them both loudly from the sensations. Naruto ko oi, she cooed. Once more, please. Despite being tired from today's mating, her eyes, and his too, were still telling that another round of love-making, or, would be loved. Sighing, Naruto stood up and, removing her legs from his shoulders, he sat on the edge of the bed next to her lying form, giving her the chance to maneuver him into the position she wanted for their last round for today. Mai just sat in his lap with her legs widespread, taking his up her. She took his left hand in hers and brought it down, having him rub and pinch her. Her left hand then moved a little more down and started fingering her cunt with 3 fingers. At the same time she began slowly rocking on his member, setting the rhythm for this round. Her right hand was massaging her with his own right hand being on top of hers. Oh my god, this is amazing, Mai-chan. Naruto said to his lover between his own as he was making love to her. Yes it is. Naruto-kun. The red-haired goddess breathed out, being somewhere far away in the land of pleasure. She let out particularly loud as she reached her climax, her clamping around his, trying to milk it as the blonde shinobi continued thrusting into his lover's rear entrance. Yee-ee-a-a-a-a. Yee-ee-a-a-a-a. Yee-ee-ess-ess. She hissed in pure pleasure as he pinched her hard at the same time as he came, sending yet another load of his seed into her, making her cum again. They fell back onto the bed, tired, though Mei's fingers did several more thrusts into her, as did his in her. No. Stay in me, please. She said when she felt his member moving out of her rectum. Naruto complied and just maneuvered them so that their legs were on the bed, his head, on the pillow, and his red-haired lover was lying on top of him. Looking at her, he saw that Mai was fast asleep, then he looked at Mei in the corner. She walked over to them. Next time you will be playing with the both of us, Mei said as she kissed him and left for her cage duty. As he lay there with one of her hands still on her and the other between her legs. Sighing tiredly, he wrapped his hands around her waist from behind and closed his eyes. Good night, my vixen, he whispered, before joining his Mai-chan in the land of dreams. Flashback end. I could always tell the council about Mei and her sister, but I don't anybody to know about them yet. I was going to wait until we were Jonin before I asked them, but it looks like I don't have a choice in the matter. Ichiraku Ramen Shop. Hey old man, Naruto said. The old man grinned and replied, Hey Naruto, how's it going? Oh wait, let me guess, it's going good, right? Yeah, it's been very good, just got back from a C rank mission that turns A rank. Naruto noticed Ichiraku quirk an eyebrow and he responded in kind, be quirking his own. That sound cool, maybe you can tell me about it later, Tuki. How about now? Naruto said as Tuki told what happened. Hey Naruto-kun, said Ayame, who basically sprang from out of nowhere, tackling Naruto to the ground while rubbing herself against him. I miss you Nar-kun, said Ayame as she rubbed her CC against his chest. I miss you too Aya-chan, Naruto said as he wrapped his hand around her and started to rub her back. Then he let his hand slid down to her bottom and gave it a gentle squeeze, that making her let out a naughty thought crossed Ayame's mind. Oh my god, this feel good. I have to find a way to get you alone with me in my apartment so I can ride you until you beg me to get off. She grinned widely at the thought, all the while sporting a slight blush at such perverse thoughts. Naruto saw this and decided to tease her. I did know that my Aya-chan was a pervert, Naruto whispered in her ears, which made blush even harder. Then Tuki cough and Ayame immediately jump off of Naruto and rush back around the counter. Naruto quickly recovery. Old man 3 miso ramen for the moment. Tuki nodded with a smile on his face and headed into the kitchen to prepare his favorite customer his meal, while about the grandbabies he was going to spoil. So Ayame, what are you thinking about? Asked Naruto, decided to tease her again. Nothing important, said Ayame a bit too quickly as a blush appeared on her face. Are you hiding something from me Aya-chan? Naruto asked in a seductive manner. What? It's not like I'm having perverted thoughts about you. Ayame clamped her mouth shut and proceeded to head to the back of the ramen ship, all the while blushing like a sunburnt tomato. Naruto just smiled, he loved to make her blush. As Naruto finished meal, he thanked the old man already and decided to thank Ayame too. Hey Aya-chan, I like to thank you for the ramen that you cook for me, said Naruto. You're welcome Naruto-kun, she said while blushing. Beside, you can eat my ramen anytime you want, Ayame said in a low voice she thought Naruto didn't hear. Naruto then appeared before her, then he captures her lips to his. She was shocked for a moment before she deeper the kiss as their tongues massage each other tongue. After about a minute they parted, then Naruto whispered into her ears, I'll do a lot more than eat your ramen the next time we meet. Then he vanished in a red flash, leaving her standing there before she was blown back by massive noise bleed that knocked her out. 2 weeks later. Naruto was walk into his house. As he reached in, he was surrounded by 5 Anbu wear mask, slug, raven, sloth, devil and bird. As Naruto was about to attack, Naruto stop. He turns around to see his mother. Mom, what's going on? Naruto replied. It a surprise for you. These are some ladies who want to be with you but can't at the moment. You have to wait until the Chunin exam is over, but you have to guess who they are first. Kushina said as she led Naruto over to a chair in the middle of the room and put him to sit on it as she blindfolded him. Naruto-kun, they are going to give you a hint one by one for you to guess who they are, Kushina said. Okay mom, Naruto replied. First up his sloth, Kushina said. Sloth walk up to Naruto and remove her mask as sit on his lap and wrap her leg around him and press the against him and said, this is very troublesome but you are worth it. Has started to give him a lap dance that make Naruto member rise to the heaven. Oh Naruto, it's so big I can't wait to ride it, Sloth said as she got off of him. Naruto wanted, who could that be? Next we have Raven, Kushina said. Raven took off her mask and sits on Naruto's lap, like how you sit on a chair, and put Naruto's hand on her as Naruto begun to rub them as she. You can do a lot more rub them when you become an elite, said Raven as she got off of him. Next we have Bird, said Kushina. Bird walk up to Naruto and took her mask off and sit on him the same way Raven did, but brought Naruto hands down to her and uses Naruto's hand to rub her through her panties while she fell like he was in heaven. No one can ever cage this Bird replied as she got off of him. Next we have Devil, said Kushina. Devil walks up to Naruto and took her mask off and sat on Naruto's lap the same way Sloth did and kiss him. Then she deepen it as she tries to Naruto's tongue out of his mouth. That was the best kiss Naruto has ever had. We are finally together after all these years, Devil said as she got off of him. Last but not least Slug, said Kushina. Slug walks up to Naruto and took her mask off and kneeled down between Naruto's legs and put her hands into pant and took out his and started stroking. My Naruto-kun, Sloth was right, you really are big, can't wait to have it in me, Slug said as she continued stroking his until he come all over her hand as she like it off and then clean of his. Naruto was in heaven again. Maybe one day I show you why they called me legendary, said Slug as she got up. So Naruto, any guess of what they are? Said Kushina as she took the blindfold off of him to realize that Naruto had passed out with a smile on his face and blood running out of his nose. I guess I kind of overdid it, replied Slug as Kushina glared at her. As the rest of them started to laugh as Kushina took Naruto up to his room. Hokage Tower. Kakashi had been summoned to the Hokage room wondering what's going on. Yes, Lord Hokage. Bowing. Hiruzen takes the pipe from his mouth. I have a mission for Sasuke. Kakashi hearing this raises an eye. I want Naruto Uzumaki watched and I wanted you to give Sasuke and Sakura extra training. Kakashi nodded, but one thing bothered him. Why? Asked Kakashi. Hiruzen explaining that he doesn't trust Naruto and in case if anything they could take him out. Kakashi nods. I will start teach Sasuke's Kenjutsu and more powerful jutsu. I'm sure he will be able to take him out, asked Kakashi. Hiruzen looks at him saying he will fix the rounds after, indeed. But the Hyuga elders are asking me to make a match with Neji and Hinata. Knowing them they will tell him to kill her. Kakashi on the other hand hearing this raises an eye. Yes, even though it's none of his business, but letting this happen he wonders since Naruto is involved with her sister and he and Hinata are good friends also who know what Naruto would do. Is that all? Asked Kakashi. Hiruzen shake his head. No. I understand. Bowing Kakashi then leave to start training Sasuke. But before he left Hiruzen told him to tell Sasuke about the A-rank mission but not the Hokage position. Can't believe Tsunade is leaving tonight on a 5-year mission now. Who is going to be my replacement? I was planning on retiring after the exam, Hiruzen though as he finishes paperwork. In the ceiling a small summoning animal hearing this poof away knowing this news will piss off Naruto very much. 2 months later. It was about noon when Naruto, Hana and Anika heard a ruckus around one corner and decided to investigate. What they found was a black-suited ninja from Suna holding up a scared little kid, while a disheveled Sakura and Kiba threw insults at them. His teammates seemed to want him to just put the kid down before their other teammates showed up. They seemed to be afraid of whoever the person was, but despite that the guy didn't listen and drew back to hit the kid. A rock impacted his hand right when teams 8 and 11 made their presence known. You may want to put the kid down before you give me an excuse to kick your down the street pajama boy. Sasuke was standing in a nearby tree with a smirk on his face, though looking a bit ragged like his teammates, while Sakura praised his ability to hit a hand from 15 feet away. The redhead seemed to be checking out the raven-haired boy, which he apparently noticed as his smirk deepened and he jumped down. You seem like a strong kunoichi unlike the females here. Maybe you'd like to go back to my place and get to know one another. He stalked a bit closer but was blocked by the black-suited shinobi who threw the kid he was holding to the side. That's my sister you're talking about, pal, so unless you want to be a few limbs shorter I suggest you back off. The boy hoisted the package that was strapped to his back. Kankuro, you can't use that here, we'll get thrown out. The girl narrowed her eyes at the boy as she scolded him. Shut up, Garina. I'm not letting this punk anywhere near you. But you're right. I shouldn't need Karasu for this weakling. He smirked but all motion stopped as killing intent flooded the alley. Kankuro, stop before you embarrass us. A blonde Suna kunoichi appeared on a branch of the same tree Sasuke had just left. But, Tamari, they started it. Kankuro tried to reason with the new arrival. Shut up or I'll kill you. Tamari said coldly. Garina and Kankuro began to sweat now. Tamari, please let's just go. Come on, listen to me. Please, replied Kankuro. The said girl vanished in a whirl of sand and appeared in front of the other two. Never have I thought of you as my siblings. If you get in my way, I will kill you. Tamari then walked past them as they all stood there frozen. Hold it there. You're from Suna. What business do you have walking around these streets? Kiba managed to quell the invisible force a little, but most of those present wanted to smack him across the head for asking such a stupid question. Yeah, what business does Suna have in Konoha? Asked the bubble gum princess. It was Hana who answered for them though. They are most likely here for the Chunin exams, as are most of the foreign ninja that are currently in the village. Hey Hana-chan, why don't you ditch the dobi and let me show you what a real man is? Kiba began walking over to her but was stopped by a sword from Anika. You may want to back off, Kiba-san. Naruto-kun wouldn't like your advances on his girlfriend. Anika spat at him, to which he just growled. What about you then? As he walked up to her he felt something hit him in the chest at Hana. She's off limited too, she's Naruto girlfriend too, Hana said. The exchange seemed to intrigue the Suna nin as they couldn't figure out who this Naruto was, or why he had such loyalty from obviously more than just his team, while other ninja from the same village seemed to detest him if the looks on the other three faces meant anything. And where is this Naruto you speak of? The coward seems to have hidden before he was in danger. Kiba growled out, just enjoying the view. Everyone jumped in surprise. Even Tamari raised his head a bit and widened her eyes at Red Hair God. As the three Suna nin turned they revealed a red-haired teen standing only a couple feet behind them. Arms crossed and leaning against the nearby fence as he cleaned his fingernails with a kunai. These types of exchanges amuse me. They amuse you too, don't they, Tamari-chan? Naruto evened his eyes with the blonde and held his ground. Garina couldn't believe it. Here was a boy, about the age of her older sister, who had snuck around them and gotten this close without any of them noticing. Quite the feat considering Tamari was always on guard due to his life. Forget the Raven guy though. Wow, what a piece this guy is. I have to have him though, Garina. Wow, he looks strong, hot, and I feel like he is like me. I want him to be mine. Maybe if I'm lucky mother won't let me kill him. Then all I have to do is get him to see I'm twice the woman his little girlfriend's is. Tamari was brought out of her daze by mother. You little flesh bag, what are you think doing? He is the nine-tail brat. Of course you are going kill to prove our existence, shouted the one tail. But why mother, if he is just like me why should I kill him? Asked Tamari. Because I said so, the one tail said. That bitch Kurumu will regard turning me down when I asked her out. Forgive mother, I will kill him, Tamari in a sad voice. Tamari stopped only once more to turn and look at Naruto again. Naruto-san, you are like me. I look forward to kill you. A simple comment, but one that sent shivers down the Suna nin's spines, and dashed Garina's hopes. As Suna nins was about to leave, Naruto appeared before Tamari face to face before kissing her on the lips, then explore her mouth and body while she was frozen. No one had ever dared to kiss her, much feel her up. What are you doing? Kill him now, yelled the one tail. Tamari snapped out of her daze and called forth her sand to crush him, but Naruto was already gone. Where he? She yelled as the sand flared around her, forcing her brother and sister to move away from here. Everybody except Hana and Anika just stood there with shock expression on their face. They could believe Naruto did that. Realizing that no one now where he is, she turned around to then. Tell your friend the next time I see him I will kill him, Tamari said. Once the three left, Naruto returned back towards his companions. That was fun, Naruto said. Yes it was, Hana said as she and Anika walk up to him. Both of them kiss him on the lips. Hey Kur-chan, why did you tell me to do that? Although I did enjoy it, Naruto said. Just wanted to get back at a friend, Kurumu replied. He was about to ask about the friend when he heard Sasuke's voice. Taking the coward's way out then, Hadobi. Sasuke said. Naruto took a moment to think, then turned to the last Uchiha. Sasuke-chan, if you are that desperate to be beaten down by me, then I suggest you wait until the exam. That way you can show us all just how superior you are. His friends didn't know whether to laugh at the obvious jabs or to roll their eyes at the Tem for actually believing such a thing. You're right, Dobi, for once. It'll be so much better to humiliate you in front of everyone than to take you out in some back alley. Sasuke shoved his hands in his pockets and turned to leave, signaling to Sakura that it was time to go. Well, as amusing as that was to watch, I think it's about time that he gets to show off just how badly he can beat me in front of the whole village. I'm sure by the end they'll be screaming his name, followed by a call for a medic. Naruto turned and did his best impression of an emo with a stick up his, much to his friend's amusement as they walked off to scout some more. Next day. Today's the day, Naruto thought as he walked to the academy. The cool morning air blew across his now tan face. Thanks to his hours and hours of training, Naruto now has a nice even tan. Naruto decided that for the exam he would dress like his teacher Hawkeye, so he unsealed his sword, which he named the Red Death, the sword that looked like Hawkeye's sword but as a red blade, put it on his back except for the hat. Naruto, a voice cried out, forcing Naruto out of his thoughts. He looked up to see Sakura waving at him at the academy front doors. Naruto paid her no mind and continued to walk as he read his book. Naruto, are you ready for the exam? Sakura said, trying to start a conversation with the boy. Yes, was all Naruto said to her. Sasuke rose up to Naruto and smirked at him. You better make it toward the finals, dope. I only entered the exams to fight you. You say something, Uchiha, Naruto said as he walks past him, leaving fuming Sasuke. Inside the academy. Once inside, they found a huge crowd with a hiss of pain coming from it. They reached the front to see a weird boy hitting the floor with a busted lip. Naruto stared at the boy in confusion. Why would anyone wear that kind of clothing? Naruto thought. The boy had a very distinctive appearance. His hair was cut into a bowl shape that shined in the light. He seemed to have huge and very thick eyebrows, causing Naruto to pity the animal stapled on the guy's face. The boy seemed to be wearing a green jumpsuit with orange leg warmers, and wearing his red forehead protector as a belt. Amazingly, Naruto's gaze stayed on the boy's hands. They were covered in bandages that went up to his wrists. The boy in the green stood up and glared at the two boys guarding the door. You plan to take on the Chunin exams with that kind of power? You might as well quit now. One of the boys said out loud to the crowd. A girl came up and helped the fallen boy back up to his feet. Naruto took this time to inspect the girl, who looks to be the boy's teammate. The girl had brown eyes with long brown hair that seems to be put into two buns. She wore her forehead protector on her forehead under nether her bangs. She looked very plain as she wore a pink sleeveless blouse with dark green pants. She looked very plain to Naruto's eyes, but he knew for a fact that looks can be deceiving. Please let us through. The girl pleaded, only to get smacked in the face, sending her back to her teammate. The people around her gasped at the cruelty the boy showed. You think we like doing this? We're saving you. The Chunin exams aren't easy. Even we failed 3 times. Anything can happen in this exam, even your death. Chunins often become the commanding officer on a mission. The failure of a mission could often mean the death of your comrade. Are you prepared to make that kind of choice? The boy said, shutting up everyone in the hall. Sasuke made a move to show off, only for Naruto to grab his shoulder. Don't do it, Uchiha. This is a test to weed out the weaklings. If you interfered now, this could bring us a lot of unwanted competition to the exams. Naruto replied. Sasuke glared at him and went anyway as he tried to sneak up on them, but one of the boys seemed to see them sneak away and charged them. Now where do you think you guys are going? The boy said, raising a fist to punch Sasuke. Sasuke, seeing this, aimed a kick at the boy. Before they made contact with each other, the boy, who was knocked down from the start, came out of nowhere and caught their attacks, much to everyone's shock. Sakura looked at the boy in shock as she analyzed the boy. Whoa, where did he come from? Sakura thought. This guy is insanely fast. I never saw him move. He's completely different from earlier. Sakura thought as she turned her gaze to Sasuke. He seemed to be in shock as well. He caught my kick with his hands. Did he use Charka? Sasuke thought as he looked towards Naruto to see his reaction. Naruto had an unreadable face, making Sasuke a little nervous inside. What happened to the plan, Lee? A boy said with long dark brown hair. His hair seemed to reach the middle of his back and was tied back a few inches above the end, while 2 straps attached to a smaller headband underneath his ninja forehead protector framed the sides of his face. He wore a black headband that he wore snugly over his forehead. He wore a khaki shirt and dark brown shorts. He also had bandages wrapped around his right arm, chest, and right leg. Naruto knew who this person was immediately. He was Neji Hyuga, Hana's cousin. Sorry Neji, but, Lee said as he left the sentence hanging as he blushed towards Sakura. He raised a fist and walked over to Sakura. Hi, my name is Rock Lee, you must be Sakura. Let's go out together. I'll protect you with my life. Lee said, smiling as his teeth blinked, nearly blinding her. Sakura's face turned aghast as she went over the words in her head. No way. You so lame. Sakura said as Lee's head dropped in despair. Naruto cracked a small smile at the display, highly amused at her friend's new crush. Hey you, what's your name? Neji asked Sasuke with a small smirk. Sasuke, keeping up his cool act, turned to Neji with a smirk of his own. When you want to learn someone's name, you should give yours first. Sasuke said, gaining a smile and giggle from Tenten and a frown from Neji. You're a rookie, right? How old are you? Neji persisted. Sasuke snorted and turned away. I don't have to answer you. Neji turned to Naruto and narrowed his eyes at him. You're Hana-sama's new boyfriend, aren't you? Naruto glared at him. And if I am? Naruto asked in a cold voice. Neji flinched at the way he answered him, then he recovered. Just asking. Neji said with a smirk. Sasuke-kun, Naruto, let's go. We have an exam to pass. Sakura said as she pulled Sasuke while Naruto followed them. A few minutes later. Hey you, the guy with the blue eyes, please stop. A voice shouted from a balcony above. They turned their gaze to the familiar boy that stood. They recalled the boy from before as Lee. Sakura flinched in terror to her admirer seeing him here. Naruto did answer. Will you fight me right here, right now? Lee asked with fire in his eyes. Naruto said. No, not even look at him. Them Naruto vanished in a red flash. Fight me instead, I'm way stronger, Sasuke demanded. Lee nodded as he jumped down from the balcony. My name is Rock Lee. Lee said, pointing towards himself. When you want to learn a person's name, you have to introduce yourself, right? Lee said, throwing Sasuke's own words against him. Uchiha Sasuke. Frankly, you're a fool for accepting my challenge when you know of the Uchiha name, Sasuke said, darkly, clearing, underestimating Lee. Yeah, kick his Sasuke-kun. Sakura yelled as she watched him get into his own stance. Sasuke versus Lee. I'll say this, Sasuke, you cannot defeat me because as it stands, right now I am the strongest of all the genins of Konoha. Lee said as Sasuke narrowed his eyes at that statement. He stopped my kick with his hand before. That wasn't human. I don't know what kind of ninjutsu he used, but I'm about to find out. Sasuke thought as he stared down Lee. Sounds fun. Let's do it. Said Sasuke. Wait, Sasuke-kun. Sakura yelled out. We only have 15 minutes to get to the exam. Sasuke nodded and charged Lee. He's coming. I'm sorry, Guy-sensei. I may have to break your rules. I may need to use that move. Lee thought before he blurred away. Leaf spinning wind. Lee yelled as he blurred in front of Sasuke, aiming a kick to his head. Sasuke saw the move coming and ducked but was unable to dodge the kick coming to his right. He tried to block, but to Sasuke's amazement, Lee's kick broke through his guard, sending him flying. Naruto looked from his hiding place at the fight. He noticed the seal Lee made before his kick connected. I didn't sense any chakra. Why did he make that seal? What happened? He blocked that. Sakura said, amazed and confused at what happened. Her thoughts were identical to Sasuke's as he reviewed what happened in his mind. He slipped through my guard. How did he do it? Ninjutsu, or genjutsu? Sasuke thought as he glared at Lee's smirk. Fine. This just gives me a chance to practice it. Sasuke thought as his eyes flashed into a Sharingan, surprising Sakura. Sakura stared at her crush in awe. When did he get the Sharingan? She said. I got it in Wave Country. Sasuke said. This is great. Sasuke-kun is incredible. If this is the same advanced bloodline as Kakashi-sensei, then he can read Bushibrow's moves. Ninjutsu or genjutsu, it will reveal it all. Sasuke-kun is getting stronger and stronger. The Uchiha clan is so great. Yeah, Sasuke-kun can't lose to this guy now. Sakura ranted with an excited look on her face. Back to the fight. Kage Buyo. Shadow of the Dancing Leaf, Lee shouted as he appeared behind Sasuke. You are about to see what my hard work can do. Lee said as his bandages unwrapped in the air. Hard work will always surpass a genius. Lee said in a whisper, but before he could complete his technique, his bandages were stuck to the wall by a pinwheel. That's enough, Lee. A voice shouted as Lee rebounded to get to the voice. Sasuke looked on in shock but unable to right himself. Luckily, Sakura was able to catch him before he hit the floor. You were watching, Lee said, breaking Naruto out of his thoughts as he watched Lee get chewed out by a turtle. Interesting, I have never seen a turtle summon before. Are you prepared to pay? The turtle asked as Lee lowered his head. All right then, here comes Guy-sensei. The turtle yelled as a burst of smoke erupted from on top of the turtle's shell. A man appeared above the shell in a very strange pose. The man was very tall and had very thick eyebrows. In fact, he looked like an adult version of Lee. The only thing that was different was the standard Konoha flak jacket that was unzipped. Well, it seems you guys are the epitome of youth, he said, sending off all kinds of alarms in their head. Lee. Guy said, making Lee turn to him only for him to get a punch in the face as everyone gasped in shock. What the hell? Sakura yelled at the action. Lee. Guy started as Lee gazed at him in tears. Guy-sensei. Lee said, only to jump into the older clone's arms. That's enough, Lee. You don't need to say it. Guy said as Lee screamed into his chest. Sasuke looked on in shock and anger. His eye was twitching in annoyance. I lost to him. Yes. This is what youth is all about. It's all right, Lee. Youth and mistakes go together. Guy said as Lee cleared his eyes of tears. You are too nice, sensei. But you did start a fight and almost broke my rules. Your punishment will take place after the Chunin exams, Guy said, getting a yes sir from Lee. You will do 500 laps around our practice field on my fingers. Guy said, going back into a pose. Hi, Lee said, saluting to the elder clone. Sasuke thought together. What the hell is up with them? Sakura thought. This was quite amusing. Naruto thought as he watched both of their antics from his hiding spot. Guy turned his gaze to the group. Sakura flinched as he inched closer to Sasuke. These kids are Kakashi's. Where's the other one? Hey, how are Kakashi doing? Guy asked, making them look toward the man. You know him? Sasuke asked, making Guy chuckle. Guy smirked as he disappeared from their eyes, catching everyone off guard. People refer Kakashi and me as eternal rivals. Guy's voice responded behind them. With 50 wins and 49 loses, I'm stronger than Kakashi. Guy said, shocking Team 7. No way, he's so fast. His speed is above Kakashi, is he even human? Sasuke thought in shock. He knew Kakashi was insanely strong. To meet someone besides the Hokage who's stronger than him was an eye-opener. You can come out now, Guy said while everybody was wondered who he was talking to. As Naruto came out of Lee's shadow, surprising everybody, even Guy hadn't expected Naruto to be that close to them. You must be Kakashi's other students, Guy said. No, I just on his team. I can't wait to see how you and Lee do in these exams. I can see that your flames of youth shine brightly. With that said, Guy disappeared in a puff of smoke. Lee nodded at his mentor as he turned his gaze towards Sasuke. Sasuke-kun, I'll say one more thing before we go our separate ways. The truth is, I came here to test my abilities. The truth of the matter is that I lied before. I am not the strongest of the Leaf Genins, on my team however is. I've entered the exams, to defeat him. Neji Hyuga, and as of now you are also my targets. Lee said, earning a snort from Naruto. The strongest of the Leaf Genins, is not Neji. He is only a prick with a stick up his. Naruto said, turning and laying an intimidating glare on Lee. I am the strongest of the Leaf Genins. Naruto said with a smirk. What are you talking about, dope? I am the strongest, Sasuke said, narrowing his eyes at Naruto. Naruto said nothing and walked away. Once they reached the door, they noticed Kakashi standing in front on the door. So you all came. Now you can properly take the exams, Kakashi said as he shut his book and got off the wall. What do you mean, Kakashi-sensei? Sakura asked as she looked toward her one-eyed sensei. The truth is that this test can only be taken by teams of 3. Kakashi said. If that's true, what would have happened if only 2 of us had shown up, said Sasuke. Then none of you would have been allowed to take the exam, Kakashi replied. I'm proud of all of you though. You all came here on your own to grow stronger. I'm as proud as I can be, not even looking at Naruto. Now go, Kakashi said with an eye smile. Then they walked through the